You just fought the SJJIF in Long Beach. How was that? How many fights? What do you think about this?
This year, I didn't have that many fights because there was a lot of my teammates in the division. I'm surprised there weren't more people coming out. A lot of guys were in California for the prize money tournaments. There was 3 big prize money tournaments: the World Series, the CBD, Black Belt CBD, and then this one. World Series 20,000, the Black Belt CBD 30,000, and then this one 15,000. But the SJJF is like a yearly thing that I've been doing since 2015, and they always put up really good prize money for the absolute. And it's kind of an unknown tournament, so a lot of the really good guys don't show up. Like you don't see Leandro and Buchecha there. And so I always try and make it to those sort of undercover tournaments that pay money, and I don't tell anyone, so I can like sneak in and get a payday.
Lots of tournaments paying prize money. How do you think it's gonna get bigger and bigger?
They seem to have a short lifetime. I think the tournaments like SJJF will continue because they have a large competitor base, but like the World Series, it's like not as many people competing in it, and for a lot of prize money. And I think a lot of people are starting tournaments and they're really excited about being able to give money to the athletes, but then it's like
no return. Right?
There's no return. It's hard unless you're running a very large tournament like IBJJF or SJJF where they have thousands of competitors. Then they're probably bringing in like $300,000 plus in a weekend. So
what are your plans? ADCC? What are you fighting?
I'm probably gonna do Nogi Worlds. Maybe I have Polaris on December 8th against Craig Jones, and then Nogi Worlds is the 15th. So it's gonna be tight. I don't know if I'll make it back in time, especially if I do seminars or something in the UK. But I'm going to try and make it back, but my Nogi Worlds camp kind of switched into the Craig Jones fight, so I'll probably just be doing that. Now that I think about it, it's going to be hard to come back and adjust to jet lag, and like I won't have been training for a week and a half or so. So I would like to do it. I'm going to try. We'll see.
How is that talking shit you just said? How is it helping the sport or?
I think it's not good. I think Gordon, because Gordon's a really nice guy, but he also likes to talk shit on the internet. But he acknowledges that he talks shit on the internet. Like he acknowledges that he's just shit talking on the internet, and then in person he's not going to say anything like mean. He never says anything mean anyways. 90% of the stuff he says, I think he's joking. But it sets a weird precedent for new upcoming athletes because everyone wants to make money, and they see Gordon like kind of flaunting like he's winning all this stuff and making money, and like they're like, oh, you have to do the MMA style shit talk to make money. But if you look at the other guys that do it, it's Gordon who can actually back up what he says, and then it's AJ and Dylan Dennis who can't back up what they say. So this negative environment that's being formed is like these guys are profiting from it. Like AJ gets his fights by doing that. That's how he has to talk shit to piss off people to accept fights with him. Like that's the functionality. Like AJ's a cool guy too. AJ's super nice in person, so I understand his hustle. And it's important for people to make money, but I also think it's bad influence for like the younger guys, especially because I train with the Rotolo twins, and I can't ever see them doing that. But I'm sure that there's people like young kids out there that want to train full time, and that they kind of see these guys and like they associate that with success, and I think it's not a good thing, especially because in Jiu-Jitsu we don't make money from competitions. Like it's very difficult to do it. They're always bracketed competitions. You have to fight to the very last guy, and maybe you'll make money. But people get money from teaching. And to get seminars, you have to be personable and a cool guy and a nice guy. But if you're trying to play the bad guy, you're much less likely to get seminars because like people don't want to go to your seminar and meet you.
Nobody will invite you.
Right. And I'm sure like Gordon gets a lot of seminars, but because his nice guyness kind of shows through the shit talk, and I think people know it's a little tongue in cheek. But for the most part, I don't think it's good.
About Jiu-Jitsu properly, he's bringing new stuff to the game. This John Danaher.
Yeah, I think he's sort of the conduit that's really shown John Danaher's system, because Gary Tonan's been with John Danaher for years, but Gary was always very good, but he didn't make the waves that Gordon made. So I think now that John found an athlete that can really use his system fully, it really put them all on the map. Gordon's sort of head and shoulders above the rest of the team there, and I know he probably struggles with like even having training partners, because especially when he was trying to train in the gi, I'm sure he's not getting super good gi competition from there because they don't have any like competitors in the gi really. Since Gianni left, there's no like guy who fights in the gi at the at Hinzo's. But Yeah, they brought a lot of good stuff to the table. Like, I feel like all of John Danaher's leg lock knowledge is probably pretty old. It's not like, I don't think he invented it recently, you know? So like his whole system is old, but leg locks have a stigma kind of like wrist locks. Like people think like wrist locks are kind of dirty, but that's changed. Like people don't care anymore. But for a long time, leg locks were kind of dirty. But with ADCC and then more Americans being in ADCC, there was like, how many Americans won ADCC? AJ made it to the finals, I made it to the finals, Gordon won and JT won, I think. And then Gordon took second in the absolute. So like when Americans do well in these big tournaments that mostly were dominated by Brazilians, it kind of attracts the rest of the American population to view it. And so I think that's kind of what put leg locks on the map and made them more acceptable in training. And now that the first thing you hear when you start teaching leg or learning leg locks is tap before you feel the pain. So like just that understanding that you're supposed to tap before your knee hurts made it like easier for people to train it, because I think people are just scared of getting their knees broken. So I think leg locks becoming more accepted as like something you should practice is good for the sport, because it eliminates ego tappers, because you can't not tap to leg locks or you won't be training very well.
Do you think Gordon can make in the gi the same level?
So I think he could if he put the time into it. Like there's many more. I think there's an argument to be made that there are more gi techniques, right? Once you add grips to the situation, you're expanding the total knowledge base of what you need to learn and like the different gripping fundamentals and stuff. I think if given enough time, I'm sure he could reach the same level. Right at this moment, no. He's still very tough. Like he's tougher than.
You've been training a lot, right?
I trained with him like 3 or 4 times, like over the year that he started training the gi, and he already improved a lot in a year. I'm sure he could do well if he committed himself to it, but I'm not sure if he wants to really commit the years of time that you have to dedicate. Because I know he wants to do MMA.
Because probably no gi, he's like a superhero, and gi he'll be a.
Yeah, it probably feels more normal, but usually a lot of people like that challenge. You know, that's why I switched to gi. I was originally I just like no gi for the first like 4 years of training. I only did no gi, but then I got into the gi, and it was a bigger and more expansive game, and like I liked the learning aspect of it. So yeah, maybe he'll do it, maybe he won't. I think he wants to go more towards MMA. Probably wants to stay on that route. So yeah.